Alright, so let's see how this goes. Because I accidentally deleted the game file for this, the video, the gameplay, and had to go through my recycling bin to figure out which one it was to hunt it down. But yeah, thankfully it somehow was able to save all the cuts and stuff I made. Thank God, because I would have cried if I had to actually just go through and re-edit this. But yeah, again, this is going to be a video that is at least mostly scripted. I cannot promise that I actually have all my thoughts down. I'm pretty sure I forgot some stuff, especially toward the end of writing it, because it's been about a week, because I've been exhausted from physical therapy and work. But yeah, so this video is going to be about the game going free to play. When it first was announced it was going free to play, I was not too happy about it. I know how a lot of games that are free to play, and it just didn't seem like it was going to be a good thing. There's too many things that can go wrong with a free to play game, and of course they have to make money somehow, which means the shop. And I don't trust companies with creating fair prices on things. They're greedy. They always have been, and they always will be. Their main thing is not, let's create a fun game. It's, how can we make as much money as possible? Which, of course, companies need to make money, but there has to be a balance somewhere. And it seems like they may be working on that currently, from what I've been able to see. I am recording the voiceover for this on 6/15 of 2024, so there's been quite a few different news going on, some that I'm very excited about, like Pink Mercy coming back along with the Rose Gold, because the Pink Mercy staff has always been one of my favorites, and I was not playing during the time that skin came out, and breast cancer runs heavily in my family on my mom's side. So it's very nice and inspiring to see them bring it back, even though all the little gatekeeping little shits are losing their minds. And you know what? I'm very happy about that. It's a skin for charity, not a skin for you to feel special. We don't care about your feelings. We care about the charity. And if you were going to say, well, then you could just donate to the charity anyways. For a lot of people, that's not as easy as it sounds, because of the fact that there's so many scam websites and stuff that try to pretend to be charities just to get your money. So just suck it up, Buttercup. It's a charity skin. It has always been and will always be to share it for charity than it ever will for you to feel special about some stupid pixels on a screen. Alright, now let's actually get into the game. Well, not the game. The main part of the video. I just wanted to get that out of the way because that was something that came out. Let's get this straight. Overwatch isn't, ruined. It's not completely ruined by going free to play. There are many pros and there are many cons to both sides. So it's only right we start with the pros, because if I start with the cons, then you're just going to latch onto those and not take the pros of it seriously, or try to find a reason why it's not as good. So one of the pros is that it's easier for people to get into the game. With Overwatch being free, people are going to be more open to actually trying the game out, whether they end up liking it or not, leading to shorter queue times and more variety in the games. This also comes with the perk that it doesn't feel as bad to stop playing for a little bit if you're burnt and tired of the game, because you didn't spend $60 on it, so you shouldn't really feel that obligation, unless of course you got the battle pass and you need to finish that. But if you're someone who's already finished the battle pass, you don't really feel any obligation to keep playing if you don't want to. Another perk is that it forces Blizzard to put content into the game. We all know the last couple years of Overwatch 1 were exhausting. They didn't put content in, they basically ignored it, put it on life support, it barely got anything. And it's what was killing the game, because they left it in one of the worst metas we've ever had to deal with, which was double shield, which they could have easily fixed without having to go 5v5, but neither here nor there. Since, players don't have to pay for the game itself off the rip, Blizzard's not going to make money from people just deciding, oh, let me get on and try this out. like they would before, because before people had to pay to have access to the game. This means that they really have no choice but to do something to make players want to continue to play and want to buy things, because otherwise they wouldn't be making profit. They have to give us content or they'd lose players extremely fast and they wouldn't come back. It would be worse than Overwatch 1 situation. Another one is that they have huge competition from other free-to-play games right now. With games like Fortnite, Valorant, and Apex being popular, they have to compete for players. If everyone's on Fortnite, then no one is here to play Overwatch or Val. Same goes for any other combination. If one game is really popping off and people are flocking to it, that means that they aren't on Overwatch, and the Blizz devs have to step up their game to draw people back in, or they take a massive loss. And we all know they don't want that. So it forces them to put out at least somewhat better content and decently frequently to keep people interested, which means the game, for the most part, shouldn't feel too stale. But, you know, the staleness is dependent on the player themselves. Like people who play it for a living, it's gonna get stale real fast because they're playing so often, whereas people who are very casual will end up having more fun with it for longer. These are all I can really think of for right now while writing this and reading it afterwards, because I don't have big thoughts. I forget things as I write them. Another pro actually is the increased revenue of the game. I think they had record profits when the game first went into free to play, and that could all go back into the game if they felt like it, but you know, you saw how that went. And all of these are great things. Competition always brings more high quality content to keep customers and bring in more, and it's all really actually just connected. The more potential customers means more competition, means more content. This will always be good for the consumers of the item. Overwatch is heavily dependent on bringing in and keeping new players. They've lost a lot of the OG ones after, you know, abandoning Overwatch 1, and then hemorrhaged players after the PvE cancellation. They need new blood, and the ones most likely to spend money are the newer players who know no differently and have no cosmetics of their own, like the OGs who remember getting things for free just by playing. God, do I miss that. Bring back the player borders, please. Those are so nice. Sadly, even with the profit Blizz made, it really didn't seem to make a difference for Overwatch. They laid off the entire lore team, and I'm pretty sure they laid off like half of the art team and are not making cinematics anymore unless it's for a collab like they did the Porsche recently and the La Seraphim one. They said this themselves, I'm pretty sure, somewhere. I can't remember where. By the way, Porsche, screw you, Zionist company, Free Palestine. Venture didn't and isn't going to get a cinematic, and I'm pretty sure later heroes aren't going to get them either, which really sucks because those cinematics were so good. And those are some of the main things that actually pull players in before. I'd seen some of the cinematics before I ever started playing the game, like Dragons. I'd seen it 3 times before I ever actually started playing the game, and it was so good. I love that thing so much. And I've heard of this from other people. They see it as cinematics and they're like, oh, this seems interesting. I want to try this. It gets people invested, it gets people curious, and it gives people a connection to the heroes that make them want to play the game. But they're not doing that anymore. So they're losing one big thing that actually brought players. And I blame this solely on the mass layoffs that they did. And I get it could have had something to do with being acquired by Microsoft. They needed to drop people who would be redundant. But the entire lore team, half of the art department, there was no reason for that. You'd think with all the money that they made from their first year and with all the profits that they wouldn't need to do this. But they did anyways. And I'll always pin that one on. And that's like the main problem with Overwatch 2. They're greedy. Them going free to play only gave them more of a reason to be greedy. The skin prices being the #1 thing. And they've gotten worse. Blizz is out here selling whole ass epic skins as legendaries. My Mora, Hashimoto Kiriko, and that one Hanzo skin that I think came out with it at the same time as the Kiri skin. Mercy's Mythic didn't even get a new alt voice line, when Widow's Legendary did, and so did some of the past mythics, where they had some sort of editing to the voice so that it sounded, you know, unique. Moira's was actually amazing. but mythics have been getting worse otherwise for a while. Like, Hanzo didn't have much meaningful customization. Orisa basically didn't have anything other than colors. Moira's was actually really good, and Mercy just didn't have a voice line. I'm sorry, but heroes never die. Just does not fit Vengeance at all whatsoever. I don't know what they were thinking. They also sold PvE to us the whole time while knowing it was canceled before Overwatch 2 even dropped, using it to get us playing the game and to keep playing. They then sold us the PvE mission for $15, and after that dropped the no PvE bomb, they waited until they had no other choice, until it was the very last second, because people were starting to get impatient, to tell us that they'd cut PvE ages ago. Like, that doesn't make sense. Well, it does if you're greedy, and they really are. We were basically manipulated by them. They used us to make as much money as they could off of some of the PvE. They didn't even let us finish out the rest of the PvE missions, and said, oh, by the way, we've known for since I think 6 months before Overwatch 2 even dropped that PvE wasn't actually going. That's straight up greed. There's nothing else to it. They used it to sell Overwatch 2 despite knowing it wasn't going to be a thing, and then used it to sell a $15 pack of missions that they weren't even going to continue. Like, come on now. That's ridiculous. And then there's also the skin distribution. Like, I fully understand and don't really mind that the most popular heroes get the most skins. It makes sense. They make the most money that way. They're just whole ass ignoring some others. Somehow, Sojourn, who's been like one of the most popular or more played heroes since the beginning, doesn't really have any skins at all. Like, I literally don't own a single skin that isn't gotten for free. Venture came out with pretty much nothing. Bap and Brig are lacking as well, and I can't even keep up with all the DPS heroes, so there's probably one more than that aren't getting anything. They can focus on the more popular heroes without ignoring the less popular ones, but they want that guaranteed money instead of making it so that people of the entire player base are getting things they want, and it's kind of ridiculous. Especially when a hero like Mercy gets one almost every season. Of course, next season I'm not going to mind it goes to charity. Of course, I don't care if that one is, more, right behind the mythic, and before that we had the Christmas skin, and before that we had the Halloween skin. Like, yeah, no. The charity skin, I don't count that whatsoever, because that doesn't even go to Blizz's pocket. That goes straight to the charity. All of it. Except for taxes, but legally there's like legal stuff with taxes, so they have no choice on that one. I don't even think that goes to Blizzard. That goes to the state or whatever, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, anyone wants to complain that, oh, Mercy gets too many skins and now they're bringing back Pink Mercy. Pink Mercy doesn't go, the profits do not go to Blizzard, purely for charity, so you cannot count that one. Another problem with Overwatch 2 is the matchmaking. While for some the queue times are shorter, it doesn't mean that the games are better. My games on average feel worse in Overwatch 2 than they did in Overwatch 1. Players feel less motivated to keep playing, or, playing well in general. With so many new players that don't know the game, people feel demotivated and even upset when they even think there's someone new on their team. And then the whole new players aren't going to keep playing a match or a game that they feel they aren't going to win, because in other games that's not really that big of a deal. Like Fortnite, you can just leave the match. Valorant and Apex, I don't really know about that, but I'm pretty sure you can do the same. Then add to that the disdain of backfill, and since newer players can get into comp so quickly without even having to have all the heroes unlocked, which is so stupid, or any real idea of how the game works, it makes comp matchmaking feel terrible. I had a DPS in one of my games, the one that you're actually watching right now in the background of the script. He was very mechanically skilled, had no idea how the rules of competitive work. He kept asking why we and the enemy team weren't getting more time for capping after the initial pushes. So, in this game, you push to third, and then you switch, and then the other person, or the other team pushes to third. Yeah. They had no clue why, after that initial set of pushes, we weren't getting time. And we had to keep explaining to them, look, that's just how it is. You just can't, keep getting time. So, yeah, it's been interesting. And the whole thing is, they already were ranked. If someone mechanically skilled at a player or a hero, or mechanically skilled at a hero like Junkrat has no idea the most basic rules of competitive. Imagine what brand new players don't know. Going free to play has also opened the floodgates to cheaters. Of course, there are cheaters in every game, and Overwatch 1 even had them, but it didn't used to be this bad. It's become absolutely out of control recently. Because the game is free, people have little to no issue cheating because it's so much easier. Just make a new account. And even bigger content creators are taking notice and calling the influx of this problem. The problem was only getting worse as well because Team 4, which, you know, is a dev team for Overwatch, is just too small. And they just can't keep up. They are struggling to make content at the rate that they're doing now, struggling with the balance, struggling with cheaters. Obviously, all those are a different group of people, but each team is too small. And to keep up with the size of the game, with how many players we have, is too much on them. And if Team 4 can't keep up with the content, the cheaters, or the balance, they have too much feedback from the player base to sift through. That is also wildly different. And this isn't really their problem. This is a Blizzard management problem for firing all those people and not replacing them. In my opinion, free-to-play has had benefits that do outweigh the cons, at least slightly, depending on, you know, how I feel. They can always improve on the drawbacks and the problems while making the good things better. Of course, I don't always think this, but sitting and thinking about it, while many of the issues are huge, the good really outweighs it. If they didn't decide to go free to play, this game would be doing much worse. It may even be considered, and obviously, we don't want a dead Overwatch. More players in the game is always a good thing, and it always will be. Even if we have a problem with the, cheating, balance isn't too good, the new heroes come out a little wonky, we don't get the content we want when we want it, at least they are trying and we are getting something. That's something Overwatch 1 didn't have. And while they have lied to us on a lot of occasions, some of that really isn't on them. Like the whole PvE thing, they were told to market it by the Blizzard management and higher up. That's not really a Team 4 problem. That's not an Overwatch dev problem. That's a Blizzard problem. And they are completely separate. Kind of. Because, Team 4 gets told what to do. But, yeah. It's been, while the game feels so different and sometimes, to me, might feel worse, it's still better than the game being dead. Because they can always improve. And they are actively trying to do that. So I guess let me know what you think. Tell me what you think about, free-to-play games. I've never really been a big fan of them, even though I don't like spending money on games because I'm scared I won't like it and I won't be able to return it type thing. But that's just me being, terrified and traumatized over, being poor my whole life. But, so, yeah. Let me know what you think. And tell me which one you prefer. Overwatch 1 if it was, I guess Overwatch 2 being paid or being free. If you enjoyed, let me know as well. If you want to see more, then subscribe, I guess.